Old wives' tales. Old wives' tales. Webster defines old wives' tales as an often traditional belief that is not based on fact. Imagine that. Well, there's plenty of old wives' tales related to knives, and I've heard every one of them over 20 plus years of doing this. We're going to go through a few of them. Have you ever heard that tinfoil can sharpen a knife? It's another old wives' tale. Tinfoil, sharpening a knife. Don't do it. Just don't do it. Another old wives' tale is that you've had your knives for 2 or 3 years and they're still sharp as new and you don't need to sharpen them. Well, only 2 things can make that happen. One is that you've never used your knife and it'll stay sharp forever if you never use it. The other is that your knife is dull and you just don't realize it. You're used to the knife being dull. Let me tell you, you could bring your knives to Bear Claw Knife and Shear if you're here in Midland, Texas, or you could always ship it to us, or you probably have a local sharpener right there in your town that will take care of sharpening your knives. I guarantee you, you bring your knives down to them, they'll sharpen them up for you, sharper than new. You get them back, cut with them then, and then tell me how sharp your knives are after you've been using them for 2 or 3 years. Get your knife sharpened regularly. It's a much safer knife. Another old wives' tale. If it rusts, it's a poor quality blade. Well, nothing could be farther from the truth. A blade, whether it rusts or not, it has nothing to do with the quality of the steel itself. It has everything to do with what's in the blade. Chromium is typically what they put into knives to keep them from rusting. At 13% chromium or higher, you have a stainless steel knife. This has no chromium in it at all. This will rust in a heartbeat, but it's made by Kikuichi. They've been making knives for 700 years out of Japan. They are the oldest knife manufacturer in the world. They make very, very fine knives, and this has no chromium in it. Therefore, it's a carbon steel, not rust resistant at all. It'll rust really quick. If you leave it for just a minute with water on it, it will rust, but it's one of the finest blades I've ever used. Rust has nothing to do with the quality of the steel. So there is another old wives' tale that you can sharpen a knife on the bottom of a coffee cup. And this one is absolutely true. On the bottom of most coffee cups, the ceramic coffee cups, there's a little ceramic, bare ceramic area here. And that little area is a very nice sharpener. They're normally fairly smooth, so they don't take off a lot of steel, just enough. And if you need to touch up your knife, that's a great place to do it. So this is an old wives' tale that's actually true. Plastic cutting boards, our next old wives' tale. Plastic cutting boards. You know, these things work great. I've used one, I have a couple in my kitchen. But are plastic cutting boards safer than wood? The answer is no. The properties of a wood cutting board, and there's been a number of studies on this now, and you can hunt them down on the internet, but the properties of a wood cutting board, they'll actually draw in any bacteria that's left in the board, and it kills the bacteria. Wood is safer, always has been. Let's hear it for wood. Wood cutting boards are great. Now, we've got cross grain, like this cutting board here, where the grain actually goes this way, and then you have end grain as well, which is actually better for a prep board. But wood, always the best. As far as I'm concerned, this is what I use every day in my kitchen. The next old wives' tale is that the old knives were the best. They just don't make knives well anymore. And you know, again, nothing could be farther from the truth. The old knives were good knives. This one happens to be an old hickory. You know, we've all grown up on these. If you're my age or older, you still remember old hickory. They've been around forever. This is a carbon steel knife and a 1095 high carbon steel. So it's got a 0.95 to 1% carbon in it. That means that the edge is gonna hold an edge pretty well. Easy to sharpen. Will rust in a heartbeat because it's not a stainless. But this is an old style knife. This is old hickory, and we've used these for years and years. But I tell you what, some of the new knives that have come out recently, this one happens to be from Kingshan. This is a powdered steel. It's new technology. Steel Technology in steel, just like technology in anything, has come a long way. And some of the powdered steels that are out right now are just absolutely amazing. Much, much, much longer edge retention, much sharper edge, much tougher edge. They're incredible knives. It's like steel on steroids. Exceptional steel right here in this Kangshan knife. So they do make knives better than they did back in the day, and certainly with some of the stainless steels, we're now in powdered steels. They have some incredible stuff going on. So do we have good knives? Yep, we have great knives. You'll have to come down and check them out. Another old wives' tale is that sharpening is an art. It's really, really difficult. It takes a lot of practice, a lot of skill. Sharpening is really tough to do, and it's definitely all art and no science. And nothing could be farther from the truth. Sharpening is actually really easy. All you're doing is removing steel. You're removing steel on this bevel, and then on this bevel, and this bevel, and this bevel, until the two bevels come together. Now when both your bevels come together, your stone will create a little burr on the edge. It's the steel that will hang on there. Kind of like a snot on your finger when you're walking into the mall. You can't get it off. That's what it's like on the knife. It's a little burr that hangs onto that edge. Once you have that burr, that's your proof that both edges have come together, that both bevels have come together. Once the bevels have come together and you've created that burr across the entire edge, your knife is sharp. Everything you do from that point forward is to make the burr finer, with finer stones, and then remove the burr. We usually do that with leather. Now, this stone here is a very nice vitrified stone, easy to use. I'm not going to go through all the steps in sharpening and how to do this, because we have a sharpening class here at Bear Claw in Midland, and we'd love to have you join that. You know, you can call up to the store here at 432-253-3660. You can sign up for the class over the phone, and once you do that, there's no cost up front. When we schedule the next class, we go down the list and call everybody until the class is full. If you're able to make it, you can pay for it over the phone and then just come to the class. So sharpening, it's not magic, it's not special. I wish it was, but it's really not. It's pretty easy, and I can show you how to do it. Or you can look at the one of 1,000 different YouTube videos online and learn how to sharpen. There's a lot of good ones out there. But I tell you, if somebody tries to overcomplicate sharpening on a stone, they're just trying to overcomplicate it to sell you more expensive stones. You don't need anything that's expensive. In most cases, you can just go with a nice little vitrified stone like this, and it'll do the trick, and these are very affordable. Sharpening is not magic. Sharpening is easy. The last old wives' tale is you got to spend a lot of money to get a professional quality knife. Well, nothing is farther from the truth. You don't have to spend a ton of money, but you do have to spend some. You know, if you go really cheap, you spend $100 or $200 on a block set, you're not going to have knives. You're going to have a paperweight. They're not going to hold an edge. They're not going to be sharp when you need them to be sharp. They're just not going to be good knives. You're going to be frustrated again. Why not spend a little bit more money? It doesn't have to be a lot, but a little more money. Get yourself a really good quality knife, a multi-generational knife, a knife that'll last you a lifetime, and you will be so much happier with it. If you cook a lot, you want good knives, and if you want good knives, you can get them at any knife store across the country, but I hope you get them from us at bcknife.com online, or come down to Midland, Texas, and we'll take care of you. And just so you know, we could professionally sharpen your knife too if you just send it to Bear Claw Knife and Shear. Oops, that's fun. You just send it to Bear Claw Knife and Shear. We can sharpen it up for you, sharper than new. Get it professionally sharpened. You can bring it down to us in Midland, Texas, or you could just give us a call at 432-253-3660, and we'll make arrangements for you to ship it to us. Just be really careful with the knives. But yeah, that's about it. Until next time, see you then.